Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. Man. I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. This is the Indy Report. This is episode 658, and I am David L. Rhodes, and I have my main man, Brandon King from Tennessee State. What's going on, sir?
How's it going, my brother?
Doing good. Sound looks immaculate. Wi-Fi's immaculate. I love it.
we got it working finally. I'm not just a spinning circle popping in and out today.
You weren't just a spinning circle. You were also like a guy that was talking with a delay. Like you would talk with a delay and we would catch it like a myriad of seconds later. I can only imagine what it actually looks like live, like after the fact. But all right, let me go through the intro real fast and then we'll have some discussion points. Welcome to episode 658 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the HBCU sporting diaspora, all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small. From the NAIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture and HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of the HBCU's athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, David L. Rhodes, and with my partner in crime, Brandon King. Jeff Johnson and Tariq Wilson are both on assignment. We are filming live from our home studios and sending a signal live to our KCOH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer Ralph Cooper in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. All right, Mr. King, man, I got a question for you, man. Have you been paying attention to what's been going on with SWAC softball?
A little bit. I've been more focused on the baseball aspect of it.
Okay.
So some of the softball has snuck by me a little bit.
I just know this, and I think the 6 o'clock games has probably started at this point. I just know that in the first round, the SWAC, the East Division went 4-0 in the first round. Wow. So everybody in the West is sent to losers. Like they got pushed on to losers. So, and I believe the next rounds are happening right now. I guess there was some delays if I recall. So the next set of games are happening right now. But the East has been strong, not only in softball, but also in baseball. So I'm not shocked by it at all. But it's just, I know there was a lot of discussion points about after postseason awards and like at FAMU didn't have any first team folks on the first team awards considering how good they were. And there was like a travesty with regards to that. But I think they're gonna have a point to prove in this tournament. And I think they're proving it so far. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But we'll see how they do in baseball. I know FAMU and Bethune are pretty much the class of the town on the baseball end of the spectrum with regards to the divisions there.
And there are some big time matchups with potential conference tournament implications coming up this weekend. So it's still there's still some things to be played for on the SWAC side in terms of baseball as we get into the conference tournament. And I've said this on shows previously. Like I was somebody who was kind of on baseball in general since I stopped playing. But since I had the pleasure of covering it a couple years ago, and that was kind of like the first time I really had a chance to sit there and get locked in on SWAC baseball for an extended period of time. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have not watched this phenomenal baseball that's played in this conference with some outstanding players. I mean, I was watching from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and it was some great baseball being played. And again, I've said this, but some of the things that I enjoyed is so much of the strategy that you used to see in baseball, shifting infields here or sacrificing to move the runner. It was so interesting to see that chess play and that back and forth of strategy between the managers and the teams and how those things played off. And I was into it. I was 100% into it. And the SWAC Digital Network did a phenomenal job of putting all that together. So yeah, if you hadn't checked any out all season long, I would highly, highly recommend you to tune in to some SWAC baseball as we get into the end of the season and get into the conference tournament.
Yeah, I will say, man, and I think with that, those strategies, part of the reason why they've been able to get some players drafted. Like the SWAC has done a pretty good job to get some of their players drafted because of that. 'Cause I think that's a big factor in baseball, man. I think that strategic aspect is a lost art in some facets of it all. So it's kind of great to see, and that's why the SWAC is continuing to get some players drafted. Um, I had a second. I want to. So with regards to the softball games happening now, right now, top of the third, it's a tie game between Grambling and Texas Southern, and Southern is leading Prairie View 1-0 in the top of the second. So the tournament it has started. It has continued. The big games though are tonight. You got Bethune Cookman playing Jackson State, and you got Alabama State playing FAMU. So the real ones start tonight. Like those are because those games are the winter bracket games. So because it's double elimination in the softball tournament.
If the little ones allow me and I can step away from my NBA coverage, then I'm definitely going to check that out.
Yeah, Celtics got a big game tonight, man.
They do. Porzingis is supposed to play. Um, yeah, for, I don't want to sound like the old man standing on his porch waving at clouds, but at what point, after we've missed 23s, 33s, do we figure out maybe we need to do something else?
The analytics says absolutely not. Steph Curry isn't the star if they don't go to that type of route of shooting as many threes as they do now in the NBA. Like, I mean, and they won an NBA championship doing that last year.
They did.
Like, like I prefer them to actually do more than just shoot threes because it's a tough game to watch. I think it. I'm hoping it gets to a point where playoff basketball becomes the way it used to be when it comes to playoff basketball. But I don't know, man. But it's going to be tough.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
you'll see it bits and pieces. I think the last series where I saw, you know, physical defense was actually Kevin Durant's last series with the Nets when they let him play a little bit, and we saw how that turned out. But like you said, man, analytics, for better or worse, it tells him to keep jacking up threes, no matter that the fans are saying they don't like it. All the games become these cookie cutter affairs, and it becomes more and more less about the team rebounding. Are they playing good defense? It's like what team is hitting threes that particular night. Normally, is the team that wins,
mm-hmm.
and to me, it's not as enjoyable of a style of basketball. I'm gonna look. I'm gonna push away from the bar on that one because I could do a whole 45 minutes on that alone, and
Well,
I can feel myself getting warmed up. I'm gonna stop myself.
all right. So I do want to bring up the WNBA,
Okay.
only because Diamond Johnson got waived from the Minnesota Lynx and didn't really have a really good opportunity. And I think everybody's saying we need to add more teams, but I think there's more than that for me. Like I just feel like I didn't have a chance to verify, but there were folks on social media saying this is something that the Minnesota Lynx does. They'll bring on an HBCU person, don't give them a fair shake, and then let them go. But I don't know how accurate that is. But I will say the fact that she didn't have an opportunity to play is so unsat. They just pretty much signed her, and then they just said, "All right, we're gonna let you go," which is insane to me. And I just want your thoughts on that.
Yeah, we've seen this happen a little bit over the past couple occasions where we've seen some of the cream of the crop of our women's HBCU players get drafted. But like I said, they don't get a fair shake. And we've all seen what Diamond Johnson is capable of. We saw what you did at Norfolk State. And the thing about it is, you can't even use the HBCU bias against her to say that she didn't play any competition because we saw her do it at the major division level
Hmm.
for 2 years. So you can't even use that against her. It's almost like there's some sort of unknown Rooney Rule. They're checking off a box, like, hey, we at least gave them a shot and we put them on the roster. And you're not gonna play this young lady who we've seen. I mean, she can go. She's absolutely a professional, um, and she didn't get a fair shake. And kind of going back to what you said, I know they are adding two teams over the next two seasons, so
Eh,
the
not enough.
Valkyries will be starting. It's not, and I can't talk. The Toronto Tempo is starting in 25-26. Um, but I think there is a discussion for them to have more teams. Again, I'm not going to get into the whole profitability and all that, but I think there's enough talent now, and we're seeing it, to where there needs to be some more opportunities for these young ladies to be able to apply their trade at a high level. I know we've seen, the unrivaled. I watched a lot of those games. I thought that was a really enjoyable league. But yeah, there needs to be, at least particularly at the WNBA level, since that's what we're talking about. Um, there's got to be some measures taken to where we can look at getting some additional expansion and getting some of these young ladies more opportunity. But it was really disappointing to see that, and I'm hoping that she's going to get a chance somewhere to continue to play the game.
Yeah, man, it's tough. Like I know it's tough in the WNBA. Like there were draft picks that got cut too, right? I think there was
Yeah,
a 17th overall pick got cut. So I
yeah,
know it's cutthroat in that league, and it's hard to make a roster. I think the big thing, like if she would have had an opportunity to play and then they'd make the decision to waiver, that's one thing, right? But to not even have a chance to play, and they're like, nah, we good here. That's what kind of bothered me more than anything else
yeah.
about that situation.
You sign her and then you glue her to the bench for what?
Yeah, man.
I don't get it at all. I get it. I mean, we know what it is, but you would think because of we're continuing to see uh, better athletes come out of our schools, football, baseball, basketball, that they would try to get these shots. But it's kind of revealed time and time again we're still behind that eight ball in terms of perception and opportunity, and this is just another example of that. So yeah, definitely hoping that sister lands on her feet, because she is way too talented to not be playing somewhere.
I mean, a lot of ladies tend to go overseas. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's gonna be opportunity there. You never know. She might, depending on how things go with Unrivaled. I don't know how much they're trying to expand the Unrivaled league, but maybe she get a crack at that as well. But we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see. All right. I want to go ahead and take the first break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit of track. Just an FYI for everybody here. Uh, I got a lot of personal things going on, so this show's going to take a hiatus for about 2 weeks. For the next 2 weeks, I'm not going to. The Indy report won't be. Will be back. Today's the 7th, so we'll say the 28th, May 28th. The Indy report will be back. But after this break, I want to talk a little bit of track and field. We had some conference awards given out on the Indy circuit, and I want to talk about the track and field championships for the CAA as well. So we'll be right back after this quick break.
Right.
Let's face it, shopping for insurance can be time consuming. That's why, when it comes to your auto, home, and life insurance needs, make things simple and trust the experts at Allstate. They will help you get the coverage that fits your needs while helping you bundle your life, home, and auto policies. Bundling saves you money, sure, but it also saves you time, so you can enjoy the things that matter most even more. Contact me, Tammy Haynes, your local agent, for a free personalized insurance quote. Allstate, are you in good hands?
There's a shot. To right. It could be. Right field. Grand slam. What a shot. That's how you get hot, young fella.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do, and all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food? Like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
Oh, my bad, guys. Hold on. I gotta be. This is what happens when you're live, man. You don't be paying attention half the time.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Welcome back to Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, episode 658. This is the Indy Report. My apologies for that. I was looking up something and I was in awe of what I saw before we had the discussion point about the track championships. Before I get into that, though, I want to shout out Hampton and A&T because they won some weekly awards. Jordan Mosey from Hampton won the CAA track coach women's track athlete of the week. She won the 800 meter event at the Aggie Classic with the personal best 2 minutes and 4 seconds and 2:04:41. Yeah, last weekend A&T had their Aggie Classic. They run 2 meets every year. They have Aggie Invitational and they had the Aggie Classic. So we did the Aggie Classic last weekend and Hampton was there. Shout out to Julius Nusso. She won the Women's Field Athlete of the Week. She won the discus at the Aggie Classic, setting a career mark along the way. And shout out to Xavier Party. He won the triple jump with a personal best 15.67 leap at the Aggie Classic, which that won him that victory. So he was the men's field athlete of the week. And Jason Holmes took over the 110 meter hurdle lead in the conference by running with a 13.45. So he was the track athlete of the week. So the Aggies took 3 out of the 5 awards given. Hampton took 1. So shout out to them. But man, let me tell you something, man. The track and field championships are coming up the next week. And it's going to be hosted at A&T. And for the first time, it's also going to be streaming on Flow Sports. Okay. So this is going to be good. I've been pushing very hard to try to get track. Like Flow Sports, I know a lot of folks feel a way about Flow Sports because it ain't ESPN and some people ain't fans of the production. But all the sports are there. All the sports were pretty much there with the exception of track. Like all my baseball games were there. All my softball games were there. Like you knew where to go if you want to watch a men's basketball game, women's basketball game, football. Everything was there. And that's what was awesome about it. It was only $100 a year, so I can't complain. But now they're hosting the track championships this year. And it's going to be streaming. Now, the reason why I forgot about getting us back into break properly was because I was looking to see, all right, I knew Northeastern won last year, but then I was like, how many years have they, on the men's side, how many years have they won? They've won 9 straight.
Good Lord.
On the outdoor side. So it's imperative that A&T ends that streak this year. And I think A&T's got a legitimate shot because they'll be going for their 10th consecutive in the track championship. So we got to stop them from going double digits. So, and I think we have a legitimate shot to do it on the sprinting side of the fence. But the thing about Northeastern, they're a very balanced program. So they have pretty good people on the field events as well. So hopefully A&T can end that streak this year. We won the indoor. Outdoor is a different ball game. But we've already gotten some pretty high rankings in the 4x400 and in the 4x100. We got folks that are running well in the 110-meter hurdle, and we got folks running well in the 400 meters. In the field events, we got a few folks on the men's side as well. So I think we got enough. We got enough to get it done this year. We kind of won pretty convincingly on the indoor, but now I think it's time for us to go ahead and get to work and get this done on the outdoor too.
Yeah, because otherwise they're just going to change it to the Northeastern Invitational at the CAA Championship. Being 9 and that's like video game high school type stuff where you just see that extended period of dominance in Division I athletics. But like I said, you know y'all have been traditionally strong in track, and you've got a shot this year. I'm sure the other schools, look, if they can't win, maybe they rooting for y'all. They figure y'all are the best chance to break this streak. Like, look, if we can't win, we want somebody else to. We'll let it be y'all. That is.
Yo, that's why I was in shock. Like I had to do a double take. Like when I found it and I saw it said 9 straight, I was like, oh. They barely won it last year, though. And the crazy thing is, the newcomers were the ones that came the closest. Like A&T placed 4th last year, but A&T was still in rebuild mode. But Campbell only lost that by 3 points. Like so Campbell has always had a pretty good track program. Like even when we were in the Big South, a lot of folks don't realize they didn't win any men's championships in the Big South, even though they ended up placing 2nd in national. Because at the time, Coach Ross was not. He wasn't at that point of his program. He wasn't too worried about conference championships. He was more concerned about winning nationals. So he would typically send the B team out there, and the B team would still end up placing like 2nd. Like
that's crazy.
You know, so he would send out the B team. Like he would, or like if there'll be 2 meets in a weekend, he'll send the A team to the big meet and sends the B team to the other one. Like that was because we fund our track program pretty well in that regard.
Clearly.
Yeah, we fund the track team pretty well, for sure. I'm not sure when the OVC's track championship is going to be, but do you guys think y'all got a shot to win it all?
I mean, and well, let me say this. I'm sorry, hold on, my camera. I didn't knock my thing.
No worries.
I mean, they had the last competition was the end of the month, and the Morehouse relays, and it was strong performances on both the men's and the women's side. So I wouldn't sit here and say that that they would just be showing up. Do they have a chance? I think that they could be a top 3 to 4 team. So we'll see. Look, let's just go out there and continue to have some strong performances.
Yeah.
And I'll be happy with that at this point. So we'll see how this one shakes out. I know. Look, a lot of the sports focus on 3,500 is on the football team and all that's been going on. So track, even though they've been one of the more successful programs at the school, has somewhat flown under the radar. But yeah, I'm looking for some good performances. I said all that to say that.
That's fine. Well, because it's funny. We always have the discussion like about A&T's like jump, so to speak, and folks always talk about the football side of the fence, and I always argue with them like, guys, I think you guys are discrediting having Olympians like in the track program and what type of exposure that brings and the type of talent that can bring to that school. Because even back then when we had our commercials, we did a whole commercial on the track team. Like we didn't add on the track team to advertise the school. And we did it for football too. But my point I was trying to say is I think, with everything's going on with NIL and things of that sort, a lot of institutions got to make decisions on which way they want to go. And you can make track a revenue generator if you want to, but it's just going to require some level of investment. Because the sprinting, look, man, folks like seeing races. They just do. Like folks like seeing races. So you can pay the folks to go see races.
Yeah.
So
the track NIL market may be an untapped one.
Oh, it's not. We lost somebody in NIL a year ago, so it's untapped. But like, there's still some schools that are doing some level of investment. But I will say it might not be as difficult to win those battles. But then you got to make the decision on how you want to balance that with the other sports. Like A&T has made the call. They said that they're going to evenly distribute based on the main 6 sports that they have. Like they were clear on it, and track is like near the top of that list. Like it's track, men's basketball, women's basketball, football. What was the other? And bowling. Those are like the big ones that they're going to evenly distribute the NIL. So the women's basketball NIL budget is going to be competing with some of the higher conferences in the NCAA.
Now, do you agree with that strategy?
I do, only because because what we're seeing in the landscape. Like I just like if the goal is to win national championships, then you got a shot to do it in track. You've shown you've had a shot to do it in track. You've had a shot to do it in bowling. And if it gets down to where you have to start playing, folks, why not? If you're trying to win national championships, why not? Right? Like women's basketball is going to always be a challenge because I think the gap in women's basketball is still way wider right now than it is in men's. Like I think men, believe it or not, is much closer compared to women's. There's a reason why the top 4 seeds on the women's side, I don't think we only lost 1 game over since the tournament started. So like, I think there's the gap on the women's side, the gap to get to like, into to start beating top 25 teams is not, it's closer than what we realize. But then when you have the discussion point about trying to beat top 10 teams, like a team that's 25th will probably still lose to number 5 by 40 in the women's side. Like UConn is UConn, South Carolina, South Carolina. Like they're going to be dominant. They're going to be dominant. LSU is LSU. They're going to be dominant for a while. The gap is going to take a while to close. On the men's side is a little bit closer, but I think the men's side is also going to require more money if you're going to be serious. So there's a delicate balance to that. I mean, so that's so I don't have an issue with that because when you get into football, I think we can compete in the FCS landscape, but when you start trying to go with the FBS, it becomes very difficult really fast. Really fast.
That's a completely different financial stratosphere.
Oh, yeah. I mean, maybe the money will dry up at some point, and it's very possible that it could, right? Like, I think it's a situation where we could actually legitimately see the money start to dry up because I've seen some of the money that some of these CAA teams are paying the basketball players, and I'm like, I don't know how long this is going to sustain because if we got to start paying 6 figures to basketball players in the CAA, it's gonna be tough sledding. Now, granted, ain't that many players, but still, like it's gonna be difficult. And then then it becomes the balance of getting your donors to understand this is how it's gonna be, and then on top of that, getting them to understand that even if you do everything right from the standpoint of the money, that it's possible that you might not still get the person. So from that standpoint, you just need to be conscious of having the way to advertise this the right way to your donors. Because I still think there's a pocket of folks who don't believe in paying players, right? I think more people are starting to embrace it. But like I said a few months back, if you guys aren't ready to embrace this, then I hope you enjoy 3 and 9s and 2 and 10s in your future, because there's going to be a lot of those. if we don't try to go this route. Or we can just go to Division III, like St. Francis.
Yeah,
that's an option too. But I think every institution is going to have to make the right decision for them. And matter of fact, I want to take another break. When we come back, I want to talk about some other news that came up involving the settlement that you might know about, but I'll bring it to you. So we'll be right back after this short break.
all right.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Welcome back to Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, the Indy Report, episode 658. I'm here with Brandon King. So Brandon, we have some news that came out today. Well, there's two things, but they're related. So we'll go in and we'll crunch them together. First thing that came out. Well, the latest thing that came out was Maryland Eastern Shore has announced that they are going to be opting into the NCAA settlement. And I'm going to be honest, man. I was kind of taken aback by it a little bit, considering everything that's going on with the institution from an enrollment and a budget standpoint. So I was taken aback when I saw that. So that would be the second MEAC team that has formally announced that they're going to be opting into the settlement. Morgan State University was the first. So I'm curious only because, the institutions within the MEAC are doing this individually versus the whole conference doing it. So I just want to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. What do you think the reason is for them? Is it a situation of the conference allowing each member institution to have that autonomy to decide if they want to opt in?
I'm assuming that's what it has to be, right? But I think from my perspective, and I know the SoCon formally pretty much said your school can do whatever way you want to go, whether you want to opt in or out. I believe you still pay the cut regardless, but it's at that point opting in versus out is more about the roster limits and things of that sort and the revenue sharing side of the fence. Even though the settlement hasn't even officially been settled. so to speak, right? Because they still haven't like okayed the settlement yet. But I think there's anticipation that they're going to, hopefully within the next week or two. It was supposed to be last week, but we'll see how that's worked out, right? But I think it just might be a matter that the MEAC has probably decided to let the schools decide how they want to do it. From what I understand, everybody in the SWAC is opting in, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. CAA, which goes into CAA, they formally announced that the entire conference was going to be opting in, but William and Mary said that they were going to delay until 2026, and then they just announced that they're moving their football to the Patriot League. So they're going to move football only to the Patriot League, which I'm not shocked by because of the Richmond rivalry. Yeah, I think that was like probably the biggest reason to do it because they historically, William and Mary and Richmond has been in the same conference forever. So when Richmond made the jump over there for football only, it was just only a matter of time before William and Mary was going to do something. But I don't think William and Mary has an interest as of right now to fully move all their sports into the Patriot League. So they're going to play the rest of their sports in the CAA, but they're just going to play football in the Patriot League.
Yeah, I think it is interesting to. I'm sorry, basketballs are flying around.
Yeah, I don't want you. Yeah, if you get smacked in the back of the head, that's going to be a moment. You're going to go viral.
Look, that's why I keep occasionally looking around. It's not that I'm not paying attention. I hear. I ain't trying to look at. All of a sudden I'm a meme or something for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's interesting to see kind of how each individual conference and even school decides how they're going to handle this. As we continue to see the landscape of college athletics, it's literally changing right in front of our eyes. And the schools now, you've got to be more so than ever. Woo. They're shooting at the rim right by me. But
hey, look, man, that's why you got to pay attention.
what coach you said? Head on a swivel.
Yep, head on a swivel.
Lost my train of thought. Defended my life there. Shoot. But no, I think I was saying, and if I lost it, forgive me. But I think that more so than ever, you've got to be, and you kind of touched on it a little bit with what we were talking about earlier in terms of financing sports. You've got to be kind of forward thinking now more so than ever, because if not, then you are really going to potentially go the way of the dinosaurs, and you're going to be years behind the eight ball because of you failing to really understand and take account of the changing landscape of college athletics. So I think more so than ever, it calls upon athletic administrators and athletic directors and people in those proverbial ivory towers to really be locked in and not only looking at what's going on today, but 3-5 years from now, to make sure that your prospective institution is positioned in the best place possible.
It makes me wonder, right? Because I think for me, I start to I want like I always ask myself, does it? And it's going to be fascinating to see how the SoCon does it, because like even the Patriot League, right? The Patriot League pretty much said everybody's opting out, nobody's opting in, right? So it kind of tracks with William and Mary going over there right now. So I kind of wonder how is it going to work when you have institutions? You got some that are opting in and some that are opting out. Like I'm just kind of curious, like how that landscape is going to work. Like you're going to have some institutions that can have over 105 football players. Then you're going to have other institutions that can only have 105. Then you're going to have some institutions that are paying a lot more players than others. Like I'm just fascinated to see how this is going to go.
Yeah. I mean, it's yeah. I'm kind of curious about how that's going to work from a obviously a financial standpoint, and that's going to bleed over into a competitive standpoint. I mean, it's going to touch every single area. You look at recruiting and all of these things. And like I said, when we talk about NIL money, if you're talking about a school that's in versus a school that's out, what does that mean? From a monetary individual standpoint. I mean, this is this is huge. This is potentially landscape altering. Well, not potentially, it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as I said, college athletics is as we've known them. As we've come up just over the past 5 years, it doesn't even resemble it.
There's gonna be another transfer portal window. At least I hope not, but there probably will be another one. But like when team like we kind of vaguely discuss football seasons, I'm already starting to look for tickets. Like I got to get my ticket for Nashville. So when you start looking at those things, we're thinking about our rosters, and we don't even know yet. Like I'm pretty sure A&T doesn't have a full roster yet, and I'm pretty sure Tennessee State doesn't have a full roster yet right now.
Nah, it's been a kind of a revolving door. They've been signing some guys, but you got guys you got jumping in the portal, and it changes from day to day and sometimes hour to hour. So we're like to me, like the cats that you saw at the blue and white game, that will not resemble the team that's going to run out of the tunnel against y'all in game one. And I'm sure I'd say the same thing, just because
We got to find a quarterback first. We've already lost 2 for the year, so well, I think they're saying KJ might be able to make it back, but I don't know, man. He broke his leg, so that's gonna be a tough. Yeah, he broke his leg right the day before the spring game, so it's gonna be a good rehab period. He might be ready, but we'll see.
Was he looked at being your number one?
Yep. Yep. We're gonna see. Man. This is gonna be interesting. Like it's wild because like it happened the day before the spring game, and in the morning of the spring game, they had the big athletic foundation meeting, and Coach Gibbs was there, and he mentioned it, and everybody the shock, like type of thing. A lot of folks didn't know that was in the room. Like I got word of it the day before, but a lot of people in the room did not know that he broke his leg the night before. So it was kind of like a type of thing. But hopefully he's going to be able to recover, and I think he'll be back 100%. But we'll see. But I don't know if he's going to play this year. And if he doesn't, they can redshirt him again. You get a medical red shirt and get another year.
Yeah, I mean, if that's your guy, I don't know if I would from an injury that significant. I said you probably don't want to rush him back.
But it's a tough spot though, right? Because with the portal, like. I mean, and Coach Gibbs, I think Coach Gibbs knows what he's doing, so I'm pretty sure he'll make the best decision for the team. But like with the portal, you got to balance that aspect of it all too. Like you gotta figure out what makes the most sense, whether or not this person's going to come. Because even Gibbs said it that day. He said, "I can get the players here. My challenge is keeping them. That's why he needs NIL." He's like, "I got to be able to have a way to keep these guys. Like if I can get them here, it's like I recruited Tootin. I can get them here, but." It's about keeping them here. And if you can't keep them here, you're just going to be a revolving door. And I think that's where the NIL Delta is going to come to roost from that aspect, right? Like if you want to keep players, you're going to have to take care of them after that first year.
Yeah. And we've talked about it so much. Even if you get them in there and they start playing well and they start getting that notoriety, it's just, the other programs, hey, we got this. We know you ain't getting that over there. Hey, big head, come on over here. That's what it's gonna be. I bring it up so often because he's been so vocal about it. Coach Moulton, as you would say, the school down the road.
Mm-hmm.
He's talked about that.
He lost some players in the portal this year too. He lost some really good players in the portal.
Yeah, and I mean he's talked about it the past couple years that whole thing that you bring these You like Coach Gibbs was saying, you can bring them in there, but now you have a challenge of keeping them. And it's like recruiting is now a holistic process. It's not just you're recruiting for the future, but you got to recruit the guys that you've got in the fold already. And it's like, well, you got to look at how it potentially changed coaching. You know, if you coach a guy too hard, as you say in retail, you might inadvertently coach him out the door.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or whatever the case may be. And it's that particular aspect. It has really affected. We see it, and I know I'm preaching to the choir on this one, but we see it so much at our schools. But you know, even in the big boys, there's turnover, so much turnover from year to year, even on good teams. You know, it's difficult to stay. It's so difficult now to stay and remain competitive for that very reason. And you know, look, we seen Jokers play a couple games and then hop in the portal before Christmas. Like,
We had that. We had somebody pretty much leave the team last season and announced that he was going to go into the portal once the season ends, and they pretty much he was off the team on football, off the team. So now it happens, man. Now there was another piece of news that might be a little that I feel like is HBCU related, and it might be because I got jokes, and that's fine. I can have my jokes. So the University of New Haven announced that they're going FCS in Division I, and they're joining the NEC, the Northeastern Conference. And the first thing I thought was, I was like, man, Delaware State ain't going nowhere now because, you know, I know they've been courting Del State for a while. And now, you know, they already picked up 2 teams since they've been trying to court Del State. So, you know, Del State ain't going nowhere now. I think it helps the MEAC more than folks imagine.
it was probably like, yes.
I'm telling you, man, they had to be. Because I mean, and I also found it fascinating. That's another Division II school that's making the jump during this untimely, you know, during this period of uncertainty when it comes to the settlement and things of that sort. So I thought that was fascinating too. But I know the University of New Haven. For those who don't know, I live in Rhode Island. I know where the school's at. I have family members that literally live like down the street from the school. It's not too far away from Yale University. But they got money, and they've been they've had a pretty good football program on the Division II level. So I think they've been trying to jump up to D1 for a while. So I think they just made the decision. Let's go ahead and go if we're going to go.
The NEC is adding teams. Where you at now?
I'm telling you, man. I'm trying to understand. Like I don't understand, because the thing is, there was at one point where UNH had an interest in jumping sooner, and there was speculation that maybe they reached out to the MEAC, but University of New Haven, so it's a small private school down in New Haven, Connecticut, in West Haven, Connecticut. You know, but you know, it's. I mean, you had Chicago State. Yeah, and then both in the NAC school, both of them up.
And it's funny because I had at the time I talked with the AD at Chicago State. We did like an hour interview, and I flat out asked her. She was like, "Yeah, we're moving." I said, "So, what we call the MEAC here?" And you know, she was a little coy. Like, they can't say. You know, obviously they can't. But almost at the time, and I don't want to say that she said that, but I had the impression. I'm like, man, they might all but be signed, sealed, and delivered, and then you come to find out that was not the case. Because I thought, I was like, Chicago State, it made a lot of sense for them to go to the MEAC for both on both sides. You kind of get a further footprint in that Chicago market.
Mm-hmm.
You expand, and I mean, I thought it would have been a tremendous fit, and I think that was a real blow to the conference for them not to get that, because
they had it, but you do you know what happened?
I don't know the full story.
The ADs voted for them to come into the conference. The chancellors and presidents did not. And part of the reason why was because they wasn't sure if they were going to be able to get a football program in place, from what I understand. I thought off the strength of the basketball and the baseball aspect alone, you had to do it. That was just my thought at the time. But, I'm not a chancellor and I'm not a president, so I don't make those calls.
I feel like it's one of those instances you're cutting off your nose to spite your face.
That's where I was at. That's how I felt about it. And I mean, and maybe you might have this concern about travel for some of the schools, right? I mean, it might be challenging for some. Like I just learned recently that Morgan State be flying all over the place, so they wouldn't have hurt them one bit, and it wouldn't have hurt Howard one bit. I mean, but then you think about all the other schools. Well, Norfolk probably could do it. But to get to Chicago is not an easy. That ain't a bus ride.
That's true.
That one ain't a bus ride. It can be, but it's just not an enjoyable one.
I mean, what else are they going to do if you're looking at expansion? Unless you're going to gobble up, some Division II schools. I mean,
there's a couple that could do it. There's a couple that can do it, but do they want to do it? Like I think Fayetteville State could do it. I think Virginia State can do it, but do they want to do it? That's the question.
I'll say this on that, and I hadn't said the word TSU in about 10 minutes, and I was getting that itch. I think if it were because our AD has talked about geography being an issue as far as us still remaining in the OVC amongst many things, but I would think if you could remove that particular hurdle from a football standpoint, at least now, stylistically speaking, I think the MEAC would have been a great fit with Tennessee State. I know the people always the SWAC just because of the location, but I think how we played, at least under Eddie George, it would have been phenomenal, tremendous fit. But oh well.
I think the MEAC's a better fit for y'all, and I'll stand by that. And I think the MEAC needs y'all more than the SWAC needs y'all. I think you guys would be a threat in multiple sports walking right in.
Yeah,
legitimately. But now, hey man, there's a 12th game now. They just passed the a rule that there's going to be 12 games starting in 2026 permanently. So now you can add another HBCU to the docket. The SWAC is looking for opponents. The MEAC is looking for opponents. Now A&T's got a new date ready. I already got my thoughts on what I think they should do with their 12th game, but I think it's a no-brainer what they should do with their 12th game. It's not hard, but we'll see if they'll do it. I think you should go ahead and set up the rivalry back with Winston-Salem State and just make that the 12th game and be done with it.
That should have happened like yesterday. The moment.
And we're going to have to shut it down very soon, but there's a history to it, right? The MEAC at one point would only allow you to have one Division II opponent at the time. So back when A&T was in the MEAC, before the school down the road returned to the MEAC, a lot of people forget that they were found. They started in the MEAC and then they left. But when they returned to the MEAC, before they returned to the MEAC, we had a pick between playing either them or Winston. We picked them. And then we added Elon because we got to pay a Division I opponent. So that's a part of the history reason of it as well, because at the time the MEAC only wanted you to play one Division II school. That was like a requirement. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's no longer the case now, considering now starting in 2026. Well, 2025 they had to do it as well, but in 2026 permanently, the MEAC right now has got to find 7 out of conference games every year.
Yeah.
So that's a lot.
Yeah.
So
it ain't easy to schedule games these days.
Nope, sure ain't. But all right, I gotta shut this bad boy down. So let me go ahead and do the outro and close out. Right. And shout out to your Wi-Fi, sir.
Yes.
That immaculate Wi-Fi, because that was perfect. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I'm David L. Rhodes, coming from Inside the Lab with Brandon King. We want to thank you for listening to Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, the Indy Report, and they go live every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:00 on a Wednesday for the 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, and every Wednesday for 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. But once again, we're going to be, I'll say we're on vacation for 2 weeks. We'll roll for the next 2 weeks. We look forward to next week as we discuss the latest news in the lab. Well, 2 weeks for us. Follow Dr. Kiana Cavil on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can follow me at ChampD1012. Go check out sneakershoptalk.com. Dream big and continue to move forward. We'll talk to you soon. Brandon.
Of course.
Lecture dismissed.
Yes.